Hello everybody, my name is Average Election Enjoyer today on April 13th of 2026, and in this video I am going to be looking at some of the most predictive forecasts that we can see from both the Cook Political Report and also Race to the White House, so we can get a general idea of the environment that this 2026 midterms are going into. If you've been keeping up with politics lately, you've seen that some crazy things have been happening currently. One of the top contenders for California gubernatorial race, Eric Swalwell, is resigning from Senate. Same with Tony Gonzalez, with another two House members, one Democrat, one Republican, up on the chopping block. Earlier today, Donald Trump posted a picture of himself as Jesus and said that really it was just saying he was a doctor. Not a lot of Christians were buying it, so we'll see if that affects in any way his standing with Christians. And so that's just some sort of current happenings that's happening in politics. Also, in Hungary, Viktor Orban lost his election after J.D. Vance came out and visited. So lately there's been a sort of worldwide shift against more conservative movements, though it was a moderate conservative party that won in Hungary, of course, but a sort of shift away from the populist conservatism that we see here. And just to add to it, Cook Political Report shifts 4 Senate races towards the Democrats. Those 4 races being North Carolina, Georgia, Ohio, and Nebraska, being that North Carolina and Georgia being shifted into lean Democrat, Ohio being shifted to toss-up, and Nebraska being shifted to, I believe it is lean Republican. Probably likely Republican there. So that is sort of the environment that we're starting to look at here. There's sort of a shift away from this sort of populist conservative movement that's been really working since 2016, especially here in the United States here. And that is what was reported by The Hill, of course. Now, if we're going to look at these ratings, this is for the Senate, and you can see that these have really opened up for the Democrats recently. Now, of course, Republicans are going to be the favorite for the Senate. It's just the map is very good. Look, 15 solid Republican seats are up for grabs, being Alabama, Arkansas, Idaho. Those are just some of the seats that are never going to tilt for the Democrats. However, you could see that Alaska and Sullivan is getting very close. It is a lean R that is striking distance. And then several of the toss-ups are Republican-owned seats, being in Maine and Ohio, with Michigan being a scare for the Democrats currently, along with Georgia. In the lean Democratic column, you have Georgia, North Carolina, and New Hampshire that are going to be lean for the Democrats. So you can see that Democrats have made major headways in the Senate here, in their ratings on specifically the Cook Political Report, but also just a general consensus among election enjoyers out there that the headwinds are in fact blowing towards the Democratic Party here. Sort of the same trend can be seen in the House, where you can see that almost all of the toss-up seats are going to be Republican seats, Republican-held seats, and the only seat that isn't from a gerrymander, being in Ohio and Texas, is going to be this Washington seat that is going to be a toss-up there. And you can see that Republicans are likely to only flip a couple of seats, and Democrats it's the same amount there, 3 and 3. In terms of non-toss-up seats that are projected for the other party. But this is the big warning sign for Republicans going into the 2026 midterms in terms of the House. Just look at all those seats that Republicans are going to have to hold if they want to keep the House. And if these recent special elections, if you see my last video, there were some special elections where in Wisconsin, a Supreme Court state race went by 20 points to the Democrat-aligned candidate. And also in Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene's old district that was won by Trump by about 37 points only ended up by under 12 points, about 11.8 points for the Republican in a 25-point shift. So this environment is really looking up for the Democrats. And finally, even in the governor's race, some of these elections are starting to open up, where you can see that Iowa and Nevada are now rated as toss-ups, while they were previously not. And Kansas and Ohio are now all the way to lean. Wow, you can see there's no lean Democratic governorships, and all the Democratic seats right now that are projected are either solid or likely, while you have a lot of more Republican seats on the chopping block here that are open. However, Republicans are in fact likely to take a majority of the governor's races. Republicans are favored in Nevada and Iowa, of course, and especially these two. So it's likely that Republicans are in fact going to win the majority of governorships, but you can see that the headwinds have really blown towards the Democratic Party as of late. And similar trends can be seen here in the 2026 midterm election predictions hosted by Race to the White House. As you can see for the Senate forecast, when it loads, there we go. Now it has finally loaded. You can see that this is a lot more friendly towards the Democrats than it was in past months. You can see biggest changes. Ohio is actually tilt towards the Democrats, with Sherrod Brown having a 66% chance of reclaiming his seat. Democrats are looking like they're going to be able to reclaim or continue their hold in Michigan, despite Democrats basically having the equivalent of the Republican Texas primary on the Republican side. That is the equivalent for what is happening with the Democrats in Michigan. New Hampshire is tilting to the Democrats, 75% chance for Pappas to retain his seat there. Maine is shifting towards the Democrats, Plantner with a 64% chance of winning. However, this is still a toss-up. And even Texas and Alaska are both in toss-up territory, with Tallarico having a 37.1% chance and Peltola having a 44.2% chance there. However, it looks like Republicans are going to be able to maintain their majority, as they're going to be likely to win in Montana, Nebraska, Kansas, of course, and Iowa. And that would, if Democrats don't win at least one of these three toss-ups, then, I mean, they have to win two, I believe. Let's see, it's 40, 45, 49. So yes, if Democrats want to gain a majority in the Senate, they are going to have to win two of the three races here. Maine is the only one that is tilting towards the Democrats here, and Alaska is, and of course they're going to have to win Ohio, which is, this is sort of a bold prediction from Race to the White House. Not a lot of people are giving Sherrod Brown the sort of chance that he has in this sort of prediction. So we'll see if Race to the White House's sort of bullish prediction has a chance of materializing on election night. I believe that Houston is gonna probably win this race. However, I very much so could be wrong. But this is a map that has gone much more favorably to the Democratic Party than it was just a little bit ago. And if we look at the governor's race, of course, similar trends here. Of course, you might be saying, how are Republicans winning in Vermont and New Hampshire? New Hampshire is a state that has voted more conservative in state elections, and that is why Kelly Ayotte has such a high chance of winning. She's a very popular governor. She is a standard Republican and Trump supporting. However, she's not nearly as conservative as some of the other Republicans might be. She's willing to make concessions, and that is what's going to help her retain her seat. And Phil Scott is in Vermont, one of the most blue states in the nation. Phil Scott remains very popular, but that is because he's liberal socially, and he just happens to be conservative fiscally, and that is what allows him to maintain such high popularity in such a blue state like Vermont. If Phil Scott was to shift more conservative in terms of social policies, he would most definitely lose his governor's race by a wide margin. He's also combated Trump multiple times, so he remains a fairly popular figure here in a state like Vermont, where Trump has like minus 50 approval rating, something like that. That is why you see Republicans in the seat. And also, Kansas only being tilt is another feature of state politics still remaining close. It's sort of an artifact of what politics used to be. We used to see a lot more variety in states. You didn't see as polarized politics. You used to see states like Arkansas having competitive governor's races, but nowadays this is sort of an artifact of that, where the Democrats has a carryover effect because their current governor, Laura Kelly, is actually a Democrat. Similar to Kentucky with Andy Beshear. Some red states that have blue leaning or have blue governors, they have Democratic governors. But those are starting to die out. But as you can see, one of the major, another bullish prediction is in Iowa, where Rob Sand, they have him predicted of winning by 5.7 points at a 68.7% chance. That is a very bold claim. However, this is something that I can see as Democrats are likely to capture at least 2 of the House of Representatives seats out of Iowa and making the third competitive. Democrats do have a chance at winning in Iowa. I think this is less of a bold take than their Iowa prediction. As you can see, the Republican in Nevada is up. The Democrat in Georgia is doing well. Vivek Ramaswamy, while he's projected to win, is only looking like he's going to win by 3.3 points in this prediction. That'll be a close election, as Ramaswamy has received attacks from his own party, and that has made his campaign short of a struggle for him. In Michigan, there is a third-party candidate. However, the Democrat is still likely to take out the win. And in Wisconsin, the Democrat has very recently taken over the sort of anticipated lead in this sort of election here. As you can see, Alaska is tilting towards the Republicans, of course, but a strong Senate performance by Mary Peltola could definitely headwind this race into being closer, though the Democrat most definitely does not have the chance. So you can see this is a much, again, more friendly map towards the Democratic Party. Popular consensus is that a lot of these elections are either tilting towards the Democrats or starting to really flip from the Republicans here. They're either getting more blue or they're starting to shift to the left. So if you're a Republican watching this, these predictions and forecasts should concern you. And then finally, we can look at the House forecasts. As you can see, Democrats are much favored to win a majority in the House of Representatives. As you can see, a lot of likely seats for a lot more safe Democratic seats than Republicans. Republicans have more likely seats, but Democrats still hold the advantage, as they have 37 more seats that are safe than the Republicans. And this is the map that we're looking at. As I said, 2 of the 4 seats in Iowa are leaning towards the Democrats here, with a third being very contested. As you can see, most of these toss-ups are rated with the Democrats having a lead in these, other than these 2 in Pennsylvania. But you can see majority of these have a good chance for the Democrats to win, and that is going to be a likely difference maker in these elections. Is this a lot of these likely or tilt late rated seats, they are looking like they are going to flip towards the Democratic Party, and that is sort of a feature of this map that we should take into account. So as you can see, as we look through both of these different sites, the Cook Political Report and also Race to the White House, you can see, if you've seen, I've used these programs in the past, you can see the difference that have been made in between these 2, from what it was to what is now. The headwinds are blowing at the Democrats' backs at the current political events that have happened that I highlighted at the beginning of this video are just continuing that sort of trend in the Democrats' direction here. It is now trending more and more likely to something of a modern day landslide than it would be likely for Republicans to manage to stave off the sort of environment that is looking like it is going to be. And this is about 7 months away from the midterms, and a lot can change, but I don't see how they are going to change in any way towards the Republicans' favor here. So if you are a Democrat, these predictions should get you excited. If you are a Republican, then it might be time to start bracing for impact here. However, a lot can change. You never know. There could be a big culture war win. Something could shift. The war in Iran could end favorably for the Trump administration. A lot can change. However, as I currently see it, and as is popularly viewed by a lot of elections analysts, it is looking like it is going to be a rough year for the Republican Party, unless something happens like the VRA gets torn up or something like that. That would be the only thing that looks like it could save the Republicans at this point for the midterms. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.